I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about episode 8 of series 19 of Taskmaster, and again another fantastic episode. We started off, I think it was a really funny little bit from Greg where he was doing like a Welsh accent at the beginning. I just thought it was brilliant. And we also had Alex show like a QR code at the beginning of the episode, which unfortunately it was too quick. Like I didn't do it quick enough to get my phone out and scan it, but I scanned it afterwards when I was rewatching it. And it was like a little bingo game. So there was like 9 phrases that were mentioned in the episode, and you had to mark them off as you went through the episode, which I really wish I'd seen that at the start and like actually was quick enough to get my phone out and scan the QR code, because I think that's just really fun. So I think that would be something that I'd love to do throughout a Taskmaster episode. Yeah, thought that was a really good idea. Starting off with the prize task. The prize task this time was the best object you have borrowed from a fairly close friend. This I thought was really good, and we started off really strong with Stevie's one, and Stevie told the story about how she went to a wedding with a close friend and who was like really obsessed with Lord of the Rings, and put in her invitation that if you wanted to you could dress up as a Lord of the Rings character during the party reception. And Stevie decided to go all out and dress up as the Witch King of Angmore, and she borrowed a lot of things from people to dress up as this character, including a sword, which is what she brought in as the prize. And this I thought was so good. Like the backstory towards it was really good, and her showing that photo at the end with her dressed up as this amazing character next to a bride was just so funny. I thought it was brilliant, and it's one of those things that if someone told you that they did that, you wouldn't believe it happened in real life, or like it's shown in like a sitcom, and you're like, oh, no one would really do that. But Stevie did it. I just think absolutely amazing. I think she's just hilarious. And Matt's prize was a 2-man kayak, which he borrowed from Jim Howick, who is in Ghosts and is somebody that I really, really want to appear on Taskmaster. Like, he is such a good actor and he frequently collaborates with Matt, and they have a very similar sense of humour, and he would be brilliant on Taskmaster. So fingers crossed he is there in one of the future seasons. And I like that Matt lied about made up this story about wanting to take his kids kayaking, and didn't realise / didn't think it would be funny if he just told Jim that it was going to be for Taskmaster. So yeah, I thought this was quite good. Not as good as Stevie's though. We then saw Fatia's, and Fatia's one was actually a really sweet prize. She was talking about how she was going through some struggles and struggling with things in life and with her faith in particular, and this colleague gave her this prayer mat, and it's a very, very beautiful prayer mat, and yeah, every time she looks at it, it brings her hope. And yeah, like you said, good luck trying to make that funny, and I just thought it was really good. Again, just a really sweet prize. I just love Fatia's character and humour on this show, that she often switches between being this really aggressive, funny aggressive, and hard character, to then bringing in all these really sweet and heartwarming moments. I just think it's a really fun person to have on the show. And then the immediate contrast between that lovely, lovely moment and Rosie's insane prize of a used pelvic floor exerciser, which she borrowed from her sister. Just crazy. I love the reactions from everybody, and then her saying they have the same juice. Just disgusting. And the reaction from everybody was hilarious. I just thought this was absolute madness as a thing to borrow, and also something to bring on to Taskmaster. And then Jason, I think Jason's one was actually quite smart. So he brought in a prize that had previously won 5 points, which is Matt's pop-up book, that he borrowed from Fatia, who won that episode. I love Fatia's reaction. I love that it was something that he did 45 minutes before having to show the prize. So yeah, I really like that. I think it's a good idea, but oftentimes when it is a repeated item or a borrowed thing, Greg never really tends to score those ones too highly, because I think somebody has tried that before off the top of my head, but I can't remember who. But yeah, I generally do agree with the scorings on this one. So he gave Rosie 1 point, which I think is deserved. Matt 2, which I do agree with, but I do think it is a big thing to borrow off somebody, but I do think everybody else's were a bit funnier and a bit stronger. Jason got 3 points, Stevie got 4, and Fatia got 5 points. Personally, Stevie's one is my favourite, but yeah, I think I do agree with Greg's scoring on this one. Now on to the first proper task of this episode, and this one was genius. I can't believe I got caught out by it. I'm normally really good at spotting like two-parter tasks or secret task things. And this one was to knock over all of the Skittles, and the final Skittle should fall exactly as the whistle sounds. If only one Skittle is left standing after 10 minutes, then you lose, and yeah, must stay behind the rope at all times. So basically they had to knock the last Skittle over as close to 10 minutes as possible without going over the 10-minute mark. And this one, such a well-designed task, especially when we see Stevie kind of talking about how she doesn't like bowling because she went on a bowling trip with school that went really, really badly, and that she kept talking about that in the studio. I just thought that was so smart. Like, she did such a good job of like building up the like believability of this. So yeah, we saw Jason, Matt's and Stevie's, and obviously watching this, we didn't know what was to come. So we saw them just do the task, and all three of them, it felt so real. So we had Jason, who was just like pelting a bowling ball at it, just going crazy with like lots of very chaotic, throwing a bunch of stuff. Matt as well, doing a very similar thing, like just throwing like a cactus, throwing lots of stuff at the Skittles, again, just going mad. And Stevie also like incredible aim, hitting each one down individually, like just kept, I thought that was really, really impressive. I don't know if it was by accident or just like a fluke, but yeah, she was knocking over them one at a time, just hitting them directly on the Skittle, which I thought was really, really cool. But obviously all three of them do end up failing this task, and I like that they did it all in different ways. So Jason decided his failure was going to be falling over the line, so crossing that line and breaking that rule and getting disqualified. So realistic, the fall. I genuinely believe that was real. Like, there was nothing that made me think, oh, that looked a bit fake. Same with Matt's and Stevie. So Matt ended up having 3 left at the end, using a brick to knock over 2, and then missing the last one, like taking it really up to the line and throwing the ball to try and knock it over at the 10-minute mark and failing. Stevie as well, a very similar thing, like she had the last ball and threw it like as the whistle went, so like again, very believable that you would kind of mistime it. So yeah, all very good. Stevie running off saying sorry, just really adding to that as well. So as a viewer, I was watching it, I was like, oh no, they've all messed it up, like that's so sad. And Greg just being in disbelief, being like, this can't be a real episode, like you've all done so bad. The reveal that it was actually like a secret task or like a hidden part of this task was to actually fail it was genius. It really caught me off guard. I was like, it made me like sit up properly. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I've actually like that's actually happened. Because as I mentioned, like a lot of the time you can kind of feel a two-parter coming. You can like, it's like, oh, it feels like a half a task or not a very like well-developed task, but this was a task like in its own right. Like that would be a perfectly normal task to see, but that twist of having it, of being like they have to mess it up, so good. And obviously they made the right decision of showing those 3 first, because I do think if I'd seen Fasti's first, I might have been a bit suspicious. So the actual task was to fail the task in the most heartbreakingly spectacular way. But if you succeeded in the task, like in the bowling ball Skittle task, you lose 1 point, which I think is quite harsh. Just, it was such a well-designed task, and I think just obviously the contestants made it more funny, like Jason throwing the mallet at people. I think other people almost hit the cameraman as well, but Jason saying that he didn't think of like the crew as people, linking back to like the one task where he made Alex be really horrible to all the crew members, and then the camera operator like focusing on Jason's feet as it went to the advert. So brilliant. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So next we saw Rosie and Fatia, and yeah, they both kind of had different attempts. Like Rosie, I think she did quite a good job at the start. Like she was kind of messing about a little bit. She knocked over quite a few. Like she was doing quite well, and yeah, she was using like the mallet to just throw stuff. She was just throwing random stuff like Stevie, Matt and Jason did. So like, I was thinking it was going to go a similar way. And I know they kind of, like she kind of said she didn't really know what she was doing, and that like people were joking that she like had completely the wrong idea, which she might have done, but I think her attempt was quite believable as well. Like she was throwing a lot of stuff at it, and it was only because when she threw that like the granny trolley thing at the skittles. It knocked over one, which is probably what she was intending, but then it kind of twisted another one and made the last skittle fall over. Like, it's not that she didn't intend to knock over that last skittle, it was just an accident. In one way, it was heartbreakingly spectacular that she did mess it up, but yeah, not in the way that they wanted. So yeah, I do think it was actually not like too bad, but yeah, obviously she did fail the task, so yeah. Fatty's attempt though, definitely not the strongest. She just kind of really dialed it in a little bit, I guess. She was just throwing stuff all about, not even attempting to hit over the skittles. It didn't feel believable at all that she was actually trying to attempt the task, because it was like heartbreakingly spectacular, and it wasn't either of them at all. It was entertaining to watch, but it wasn't what the task was intending you to do. I did think it was quite funny when one of the balls like hit the skittle but didn't knock it over. Like, that was quite funny. And the fact that she did also hit a camera operator as well. Like I said, not believable, but I did think it was very funny, especially when she was saying that she was like the best thrower in her borough. That bit cracked me up. This task, I think, was just brilliant. I think it was so good, especially because like it worked so well for three people. Like, they did such a good job of making it look really believable, making you feel like, oh my god, they've like all messed this up. What on earth is going on? You had somebody who failed that aspect of the task, like didn't end up doing it, so it lost a point. And then you had somebody who just kind of did the comedic thing and just kind of messed about a bit, didn't really try to make it believable. So the contrast of all the attempts is quite good. Jason's fake fall, or like planned real fall, was very funny, and yeah, just an amazing disaster. Like, I just thought it was so good. I love this task. I just love this task. I just like it when I'm surprised and shocked. Just amazing. So in this task, Rosie did end up losing a point, like a real point in the series. Fatty ended up getting 2 points, which is quite impressive. Matt got 3, which I do think is fair, but I did feel like he did deserve more, but Stevie and Jason's were, I think, more heartbreaking than his. So Jason ended up getting 4 points, and then Stevie won with 5 points, and I do agree with that. I do feel bad for Matt getting 3, but I think Jason's fall was very impressive, and I think Stevie building this story over bowling and like having this heartbreaking element where she was like bullied, no one would sit next to her on the bus home, and bringing that into the studio as well to make it more believable just really added to her attempt, and I think did make it more heartbreaking. So yeah, I definitely agree with Greg's scoring on this one. On to the second task, and this was a team task, and I think a really, really good team task as well. So the task started with everybody having to write 3 words that described a memorable scene onto a piece of paper. They couldn't like tell people what they'd written. Obviously then had to paint the memorable scene so that people could guess the words. They couldn't do any clues except for painting. They couldn't obviously write words on the page either. The canvases were turning on a turntable, which made it more difficult. And I did think the turntable was turning very, very fast. Like, that did surprise me. I think that made it really tricky because you only had like 2 seconds to draw something before it went out of reach. So obviously with this task, you would know that you've got to paint it because it was very obvious there's a canvas in front of you, there's paint, you're going to have to paint it. So you would think you'd go for something very easy to draw. Not everybody did that though, which made it funnier, so I'm not complaining. So Stevie, I think, was probably the best at this task. So she picked 3 words that I think were really good. So she picked rabbit, dead and car. Dead, probably the most difficult word to draw, but rabbit and car, that's very easy to draw. And this was helped as well because she did seem to be very good at drawing. Like how quickly she drew that rabbit and how well it looked as well. I was very impressed by that. Yeah, she picked very simple words. She picked things that were easy to draw and easy for Jason to guess. So yeah, she did amazing at this one and is the teammate you would want on this task. Jason, however, decided to pick glance, kiss and slap. Yeah, I don't know how he thought they would be good things to draw. Kiss, probably the only one that, like, kiss and slap, fair enough, like you could probably draw them, but glance, that's really tricky. And all of his pictures ended up looking like boobs, which is really funny. And because he was like concentrating on trying to guess Stevie's as well, he kept missing his canvas. So it would kind of go around and he wouldn't be able to draw anything of it on it, which would then make it more difficult for Stevie. And yeah, he ended up kind of messing his up so badly that he had to turn over his canvas. Yeah, I'm very impressed that Stevie managed to guess this. I loved her guess of babies kissing though. That was really funny. But Jason basically just kept drawing boobs. Like everything he drew, it looked like boobs, which I love that we then saw that in the next task. Just crazy, just trying to draw similar things. And yeah, once Stevie got on to the fact that they were meant to be eyes and it was like looking at something, she managed to get it, which yeah, I think was very impressive. And the fact that they only took 6 minutes, I thought that was really, really good. A lot quicker than I would have thought. We then saw the team of 3, and I think it was quite funny that we didn't get to see their words to start off with, because we did with a team of 2, which made it quite funny because I was trying to guess as I went along as well, because I do think they did pick quite difficult ones. Yeah, this one was a little bit of a disaster, I think. So Matt's words were quite good. He picked words relating to the Titanic, like storm, love, drowning. I think that was quite good for him to draw, and also quite easy for people to guess, like once you kind of got onto that aspect. And I think it was quite interesting that both Matt and Rosie both went for Titanic related words, I guess because it is just quite a memorable scene, a memorable film. Like everybody knows Titanic, and even if they haven't seen it, they'll know it's got something to do with a ship and sea and drowning. So Rosie's attempt at this, Rosie was just cracking me up this whole time. The fact that she did not have a clue what she was supposed to be drawing. Like she drew the scene, I think, and then she was saying like, oh, can I tell him? I was like, no, you can't tell him because that would be cheating. And also saying like, oh, can I draw things that will help him guess the words? And it's like, yes, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And then obviously cheating by doing charades. But their guesses of like figurative masturbation and touching yourself was really funny. But again, like her words, some of them like French and sexy, I feel like would have been fairly easy to get, but charcoal, like the fact that Alex had to jump in and help, like I do think that 3 points was very generous for Greg to give them, because like Rosie did cheat and like Alex was helping. He was like, well, what do you paint? Like, what can you draw with? To try to get them onto charcoal. Fatty's words were quite good. Like, she just picked a distinctive scene. So hers were cafe and Harry and Sally. So they just had to get on to when Harry met Sally, and then they could kind of get the clues and the words from there. But again, they only took 12 minutes, which I think it seems so much quicker than I thought. I would think they'd be there for ages, especially like because Alex did end up helping. So yeah, Greg gave the team of 2 5 points, definitely right, but I think, as I said, I think 3 points is very generous. I'm surprised that they got that high, and like the fact that they cheated wasn't really taken into account. I personally would have given them 2, maybe, like, because yeah, I think 3 was quite a lot, really. Now, on to the third task, and this one I thought was really good. It's something quite different that we haven't really seen too much before. So it was to obey the auto cue and the most authoritative delivery with the fewest mistake wins. And yeah, this is one that I would love to have a go at. It seemed really challenging, but really fun at the same time. So there's lots of things that they had to take into consideration, like actually reading off the script. They had to like act natural, like act that they knew what they were doing while doing these ridiculous like little science experiments and having to like ad lib at the same time. So yeah, I thought this was a really strong one, and one that I think everybody did a really good job at. So we saw Jason, Matt and Rosie's ones first, and all 3 of them I thought were very, very good. They all felt very natural, and they were following it along very, very well, and I think all kept their character throughout as well. Jason's character, Dr. Jackson Mickey, which I thought was a really fun name, was obviously very violent, very Jason, like a very violent intro song. Talking about how he got lost at sea, and I think, yeah, that I will kill you at the end, not very child appropriate, not something that children should be watching on TV, but yeah, I thought it was very, very funny. I liked him naming the colour James at the end. I thought that was really funny. And bringing back the drawing boobs as well from the previous task. Yeah, I think that was just really fun. I liked that they were both in the same episode, just carrying on that joke that all he can draw is boobs. But yeah, very, very good attempt, I thought. Matt's as well, I thought was very, very good. He named his character Dr. Dark Stuff. And I like that, Greg pointed out as well that he was a very good presenter, seemed very natural, but then would have those like darker elements pop in. So like the science all your life, like really like looking into the camera, like quite sinister. So yeah, I loved all that. I think he was very smart when he got the camera operator to throw the ball back when he was doing that experiment, because it made it look like it worked, because a lot of these experiments were set up to not really work, which made it funnier because like they had to act like that was what was happening and what should have been happening, but the experiments are failing because the balls weren't bouncy enough to come back to where it was. So yeah, I thought that was quite good. It set them up really well to have these experiments that were ridiculous, that wouldn't work, because they had to act natural. They had to keep that professional aspect to it. So yeah, I thought it was really good. So yeah, it was quite challenging, I think, in that aspect. Trying not to laugh and acknowledge the ridiculousness of it. Rosie as well was a very, very strong presenter. She wouldn't, if she was on Blue Peter or something like that, you would think she was a natural. You wouldn't question it. And as well, bringing in that childishness as well, because her colours turned into brown, she was oh, gonna draw a turd. So that was quite funny, and I liked it was, I thought they were all very, very strong, and I did think it was weird and quite cool that they all picked experiment 1 and experiment 3. And I can't work out whether or not the colour choices were pre-programmed into the auto cue, or whether they all just guessed blue and yellow, because if they did, that would have been crazy. But yeah, I couldn't, it seems not likely that it was just guessing, because all 3 of them guessed exactly the same colours. It was very entertaining to watch. I really enjoyed all of their attempts. Then we saw Stevie and Fattia's ones. Stevie's character was called Dr. Dark Lightfinger, and Fattia's character was called Dr. Fur, which, yeah, just mad. I think both of their attempts are hilarious. Stevie was very enthusiastic, almost seemed a bit mad scientist. She just, I think she really put her all into it. She was very, like I said, very enthusiastic, very fun, very all her facial expressions were, I think, heightened a little bit. So I thought it was very entertaining to watch. And she did pick different science experiments. So she had one where she had to mix yeast, water and glitter. And her science experiment did seem to work, because it did bubble up like it was supposed to. And then she had to use that to brush the elephant's teeth. And yeah, the sound that she made when she was brushing the teeth was so funny. Yeah, I thought hers was really good. And I like we said, very enthusiastic, very fun. If you were a child, you would be entertained. Fattia's as well. Hers was really funny. I loved her attempt so much, because she just seemed a little bit giddy. She got scared by the ball making a noise. And I thought it was amazing that out of everybody to get the balloon popping experiment, it was her. She just cannot escape the balloons. I do feel bad for her, because she obviously is scared of them, but maybe this is exposure therapy for her. Maybe this will help her. But yeah, her experiment was to fill a balloon with water so that it wouldn't pop. And I love that, even though it was obvious to everybody else that it wouldn't pop because it wasn't blown up properly, it was just slightly filled with water. But even that, she was just screaming when putting in the pin. And I do think it was impressive that she did actually pop the balloon that was blown up, and she did blow up the balloon, because I think she had to have headphones on for other tasks where it was popping balloons. But yeah, so I think she did a really good job. And I think the added thing of having to make retching sounds when she was blowing up the balloons was just hilarious. But I love that she did it. And yeah, the screaming when she was popping the balloons was so funny, and saying David Attenborough, you can suck it, when it didn't, the one with the water and didn't pop. But yeah, I thought this was all very, very funny. I think this was such a good task. Like I said, different to other ones that we've seen before, and one that just seemed really fun and allowed the contestants to just mess around a bit, have a bit of fun with it, which was really fun to see. So Greg ended up scoring this. He didn't give anybody 1 or 2, which I think was very, very fair. So Jason, Matt and Fatia all got 3 points. I probably would have given Jason and Matt 1 more than Fatia, just because I think their presentation was a bit better. I think they did make fewer mistakes. But as I say, she was authoritative, so I guess that probably bumped her up a bit. And then Stevie got 4 and Rosie got 5, which I fully agree with. I think Rosie was the standout one in this one in terms of doing it well. I just thought she was just a natural at it. So on to this studio one, and this task was they had to say whether the next person in the line would have a higher or lower number of things than the previous person, but you didn't see who the person was until you made your guess, which made it more challenging. And obviously the category changed each time, but they did have 2 mistakes, so they could make 1 mistake and they wouldn't be out, which I thought was quite nice because it kind of made the task a bit longer. But yeah, once you made 2 mistakes, you were then eliminated. So there was lots of different things. So it was higher or lower shoe size, or wiki, word count, higher or lower number of trainers, which I thought it was mad that Greg owns 16 pairs of trainers. I think that's just crazy. Like, that's a crazy amount. And also like Fatia having 16 nieces. This was quite fun because you got to play along as a viewer as well, because you were just guessing higher or lower. And I did get caught out on quite a few of these because, yeah, it was quite tricky. You'd have to kind of think whether or not that person would have an extremely high or low number. Like, some of them I did think it was just like, basically it was just 50-50. Like, some of them you could make an educated guess, like Fatia having a load of nieces, because she does talk about how she's got like a big family, and like Alex having a high shoe size because he's quite tall. So like lots of those you could probably work out, but I definitely would have got caught out by the higher or lower number of like failed driving tests than Stevie. I was like, oh, it's got to be like, everybody else has got to be a lower amount than Stevie, but she'd never taken a test, so that definitely caught me out. And obviously Stevie had the advantage there because she knew that she hadn't failed any driving tests. But yeah, this was quite fun. We got to play along as a viewer. I do like it when you can get involved. So the way this ended up working out regarding scorings was that Fatia got 1, Jason got 2, Rosie got 3, Matt got 4, but Stevie won this task and got 5 points. And this means that Stevie wins the episode, which I love to see. Everybody has now won an episode, which I really like everybody to win an episode, which I know it doesn't like mean anything. I just think it's nice that like everybody has a chance to like go up on the stage and celebrate. Yeah, I just think it's nice. I know it's not like a serious thing, but yeah, it's just something that I like to see. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. It really helps the channel, and comment down below your thoughts on this episode. What was your favourite task? And subscribe to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I'll have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!